Straw Hut Media.
You know her from Shahs of Sunset. You know she doesn't hold back.
You being a gay son to a colonel like that's a lot of people are like, wow, what's that gotta be like? Did you have to hide it? Was he open with it? Did they give him shit inside?
This is Genuinely Gigi.
My first guest today is a good friend of mine and probably the only person aside from myself that I know that loves animals and nature so abundantly. Growing up in Oklahoma, he finally made his move to sunny Los Angeles, where he would soon meet his future husband. By day, he works as an editor on hit shows like American Horror Story and Glee, and in his downtime, you can find him baking fresh pies using fruits from his own garden, or laying around playing with his house filled with pets. His husband couldn't be any more opposite than himself, but together they are the perfect formation of yin and yang. As two gay men with two very different upbringings, today I would like to focus on what it was like growing up a gay man in Oklahoma to a military family. Our guest and his husband will shed light on their perspectives of their experiences with this. Please give a genuinely Gigi welcome to Adam Neely-Farahan and his husband, Reza Farahan. Hi, guys.
What up, G?
Thank you for coming. Oh my God, I'm really sad. I just have to say Anita couldn't be here and Ursula has to sit in her place. Anita sent a message because she's really sad that she missed this and she wants me to play this. She's so silly. She sent a video. She doesn't realize you guys can't see her into this little tiny phone. Oh, Anita. Okay, hold on. Here it is. Let me turn the volume all the way up. I'm going to play. Should I play it into her microphone? All right, Ursula. Sorry.
Hi guys, hi Reza, hi Adam, hi Gigi. Welcome to Genuinely Gigi. I am so sad that I'm not going to be a part of this today. You guys were actually the two that I really was looking forward to, and unfortunately, I'm working and I have like a meeting. Actually, I'm here getting cards made for my client. But that said, thank you for today and missing out, but I'm there in spirit. Thanks for this topic. It's great. The topic of being gay in a military, being from Oklahoma. I mean, the whole like me being from the Midwest, and just can't imagine. So this is going to be an amazing topic. And I love you too. I love you guys, and you guys have to come back again soon so that I can actually be a part of all this. Okay, love you guys. Bye Gigi. Bye. I think Ursula's. Hi Ursula. Bye Ursula. Bye.
Wow. Okay. So she really wanted to be here with you guys, honestly, and she couldn't. She's working. So that's amazing. But thank you guys for being here. It's amazing to have this conversation. It's not too many people that I have come across that have a similar upbringing as you do, Adam. I don't know. It's up to you how much you want to talk about things and where you want to go with it. But I would like to start maybe from all the way back that you are from Oklahoma and you grew up in Oklahoma. Why don't you tell us how long did you live there before you moved? What was it like growing up there?
I moved there when I was a baby, and then I moved to Illinois for a handful of years and moved back for 5th grade through my first year of college. So I grew up there my developing years. Growing up there, it was kind of different. Everything, I always felt out of place. I always knew I'd live in the city, and I always said to my parents, I'm going to move to LA. And you know how parents are. They're kind of like dismissive. Oh, yeah, whatever. And I always felt like the redheaded child. Like I always felt like I was the odd person out because I was different.
I mean, you kind of are a little redheaded, though.
I mean, Reza, he calls me Rose Nyland because, I do have my Rose Nyland moments. They're not intentional, but, just I don't think the same way that everybody else does.
Right.
And so I always felt different internally, emotionally, mentally. I always thought outside the box. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those thoughts that are outside the box, people would always look at, oh, that's weird. Why would you do it like that?
Right.
So it was different. I always lived with an open mind. Mm-hmm. And I felt growing up, a lot of people were closed-minded, and what's it called when you live inside the same bubble your whole life? You never travel outside that bubble. Is there a phrase for that?
That's called exactly that, living inside of a bubble. You said it. That's what it's called. I mean, but you have a father with a very high ranking, correct? What is his ranking, if you can explain for everyone?
So I know that in the military you have different ranks. You have your generals and your commanders. My father, he's a colonel. So he commanded many hundreds of people.
Wow.
Looked up to him. He oversaw and managed. I think the last time I spoke to him about it was 900 people.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Wow. That is, and
and
being in the military, that's a whole. I mean, we were just having this conversation recently because we saw somebody wearing a hat that represented for, veterans, and that person hadn't served. And I talked to you directly. I was like, I didn't know that was an insulting thing. And I thought that was, showing props. And you said, no, your dad would even have taken offense to that. So that's really interesting for me because it's a whole world that I think that a lot of people don't know about. And you being a gay son to a colonel like that's a lot of people are like, wow, what's that got to be like? Did you have to hide it? Was he open with it? Did they give him shit when inside? What was it like? Were you scared to come out because of who your father is and your family?
I didn't tell my dad up until season 2 of Shah's, which would have been like 7 years ago.
Right.
I didn't tell him then. I told my mom many years before that because I was always more comfortable with my mom than with my father because my father was never around. We never developed that father-son connection. It was always I'm the boss and you do what I say. And so we never developed a good father-son relationship up until I became an adult.
Wow.
So I was very nervous about telling him. So when I did tell him, he was very upset. We didn't talk for weeks, maybe even months.
What was it like that moment that you did decide to do that? How did you build that courage? How old were you? How did it I have so many questions. I have questions for the world. I want people to hear your story.
I was 27. Picture it.
Okay. I'm trying, honey. I'm trying to picture your little 27 old ass. Okay.
So I was 27. Reza and we've been together for...
No.
When I was 27?
We weren't together. We were
hanging out, dating.
Yes, we were dating.
Wow.
So when I did tell my dad, I was very nervous because I didn't know how he would react because he always came across me as very anti-gay. He's changed today.
But you have an older gay brother that was already out.
Yeah, and I saw how my father reacted when my oldest brother came out, and he took it out on my mom because my mom is the one who raised us. And he's like, well, if you would have raised them the way I wanted to, he would not have turned out like this. And then so my mom took it personally, and I saw it in her face.
Right.
And so I didn't want her to have to go through that again. So I only told her.
Wow.
Until I had to tell him. So once I told him, I was very nervous. And so I prefaced it with, hey, Dad, I'm seeing someone, and it's not a girl, and they're not white.
Did he suspect it?
No,
Never.
Nobody suspected it.
Never.
And so he was like, so he only thing he focused on was like, what do you mean it's not a girl?
Mm-hmm.
And then so I told him, I just flat out said, well, I'm seeing some, they're Persian, they're Middle Eastern, and
Okay. That's
And
that's a big tell. Like, you're not just saying, Dad, I'm out, I'm coming out to you, but I'm also in a relationship with a Middle Eastern, half Muslim, half Jewish man. That's big. That's huge. Like, astronomically huge. Was there a fear in you to say that you are with a Middle Eastern man?
I actually went in with an open mind because I didn't grow up with my father most of my life, so I didn't know what his reaction or take would be on, because he's not racist or prejudiced. I just didn't know how he would feel about me being with someone who wasn't white. And
Wow.
he didn't really focus on it at all. He only focused on well, early on, he was very disappointed. He's like, "You're a disappointment. This isn't the way I wanted you to turn out. I wanted you to be like this."
Oh, no.
And it's like, that's when I really became an adult, or started, putting my feet into the adult pool.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is because I had to be assertive and I had to pick up for myself. And I was like, I can't live my life for you. I got to do what makes me happy and what I feel.
Wow.
And
That's very brave.
So every conversation I had with him from that moment, within the next few weeks, was very much like, "Dad, you were a great dad. You were never around. You did what you could. And this is just how I feel. Has nothing to do with you at all." And there was never ever any animosity from me towards my father.
Right.
My father was just very disappointed.
Now, Reza, when Adam, well, I don't know, Adam, were you sharing this information with Reza when it was happening?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Reza, when you're hearing this information, were you nervous to meet Adam's dad? Were you nervous to meet his family? I mean, you've been to Oklahoma at this point. You've done all that. Was it like nerve-wracking?
Now I have. I had not yet then. I hadn't met him. I was super nervous. And it reminded me of a scene from an Eddie Murphy skit where he was like, people were telling him, like, you better not ever go to Texas, like, things are rough. So, like, I was worried about meeting his dad. I was like, if his dad, like, comes at me sideways, I'm going to step to him. I'm going to let him know what time it is. And he best not be disrespecting me,
Right.
So I was going in with an attitude problem because Adam was making him sound like he might have issue with me. When I met him, it couldn't have been further from the truth. He was very receptive. He was very nice. Adam was kind of shocked. His mom was actually the quiet, reserved one. The dad was all over me.
Wow. So he was going above and beyond to just say, you know what? I love my son and I have to fucking accept whatever this is. That's amazing.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back,
There's many people who I know to this day who still live there who are closeted. Even though I know, that they're gay and in the closet, a lot of people stay in the closet there. And they live miserable, unhappy lives.
We know about like the stuff that happens that they talk about in the military, like the policies, like the don't ask, don't tell policy. And that was overwritten. And it was approved that a transgender can continue to take even hormones while they are serving. But your father was in the military way before all these luxuries that we're gaining day by day. Was this something, because I'm assuming he probably has a lot of fellow friends that served still currently. Was it ever not a fear, but was he shy or nervous or embarrassed ever to first come out and admit that he has a son that's openly gay?
Two sons.
He never openly discussed it until, he saw me and Reza on the show, on Shahs of Sunset together. And that's when he was like, "Oh, look at my son. Oh, he's, making an impact on other gay people's lives." And my dad saw that it was doing more good than harm. And then so my dad, he was very proud of me, and he's proud to have Reza as his son-in-law. And because he always calls up Reza and he's like, "How's my favorite son-in-law doing?" And it's the cutest thing. But as time went on, my dad became more and more comfortable with with people knowing he has a gay son, and he embraced it. He didn't try to hide it,
Right.
and he stuck up for me and for Reza. Because my father, before he fully retired from work altogether, once he retired from the military, he started teaching at a high school a junior ROTC class. And then so some of his students would come up to him and be like, "Oh, we heard about you and your son."
Oh.
And he's like, "So what? Like, I have a gay son."
Hello, bitch. Like, know your place. Know your
He's
place.
like, "My son is there in Hollywood making a name for himself. He's hanging out with Lady Gaga. He's working with Kathy Bates. He's working doing this and that." And so once my father said all those things to his students, that's when the students were like, "Oh my God, that's so cool. He knows Lady Gaga. He knows Kathy Bates. He knows Sarah Paulson." And like, that's when people, you could really shift and the people who he touched. And it was a great feeling for him.
Do you feel that when you go to Oklahoma and you are with your family and your friends out there, do you ever feel like you maybe suppress your openness more when you're there as opposed to here? You do?
100%, because LA, or not LA, Oklahoma is a red state, and
Right.
and there's a lot of people who are very close-minded, and
Yeah,
they live a
yes.
traditional life.
Yes.
There's many people who I know to this day who still live there who are closeted, even though I know, that they're gay.
Right.
And in the closet, a lot of people stay in the closet there, and they live miserable, unhappy lives.
Wow.
And I don't want to be one of those people. But unfortunately, I do go there. I do have to be more aware of my surroundings, and because I have to not only worry about myself, I have to worry about Reza and my
Right.
parents.
And Reza, what was your experience like when you were there? Do you feel that you also had to sort of suppress yourself in any way, or was it a fuck you because you already kind of had that built up feeling a little bit for what your husband has gone through? How did you feel going to Oklahoma?
Actually, when I was there, I was more interested in the lack of representation of other faiths, because we were there for a wedding.
Okay.
And I kept saying, like, is there like a Jewish temple in this whole town? Like,
Right.
we've been driving everywhere and I'm not. So I was looking for a little more diversity while we were there. I wasn't like thinking I need to suppress myself. I was actually a little shocked at the level of like how homogenized everything felt. It was very white, very cross-worshipping religions.
Right.
I didn't see a lot of different colors as far as skin tones
Right.
or ethnicities.
Right.
It felt very one way. And I didn't feel like, oh, I need to let my,
Yeah.
gay flag fly high. I was looking around like, where are we? Like, it was very Dave and Buster's, very kind of, everything felt like a chain from a strip mall that we have here. It didn't
Right.
feel very
Right.
diverse or.
So it just felt like very primitive in a very long ago time era, very primitive life. So would you guys hold hands walking down the street over there?
No.
No. Wow.
No.
I mean, I might do this, or I might go like this, but I mean, I wouldn't walk down the street, holding hands.
No, that was a bumper sticker with a guy with a gun going like this.
Yeah.
And it was like a political thing. Literally, I saw it right when we got there, and myself, oh, people carry guns in their cars here, and it's legal.
Yeah.
So like, I just need to like fly under the radar.
Wow.
My mom carries a gun.
I mean, it's interesting. It makes me interested to see it, but then to have to live it and experience that, it's just such a different thing. And it makes you so grateful for living in places where you do have all this inclusivity and openness and color and diversity, and all those options are there for you. You know what I mean? Oh, So, have you ever baked any pies recently, Adam?
The last pie that I baked was a Persian blackberry pie, and people devoured it.
I
And
like
you
it.
were one of them, I think.
I think-
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I need a new pie. I need a new pie. You know me, I'm always hiding pie. Does your family, when you guys get together and you have like dinners or something like that, let's say it's your family or something, does your family are they okay with you guys cuddling each other, or if you guys are kissing each other? Would your father have been, maybe I should say this, would your father have been so okay with this dynamic if it weren't going to be on a TV show and had aired and that he would have to admit to it?
Man, I really doubt it. I highly doubt it. But I don't know. It's like he met Reza, and I felt like his entire demeanor changed because he was very closed off, stiff, and just was not warm and welcoming. He's come a long way since he first met Reza, and he's like embraced the gay lifestyle that I live with my partner. And but if take the show out of the equation, I don't know. Like,
I think the show validates it for him because he gets to see how other people feel about us. Because when he was teaching ROTC, I found out that the school that he taught at, the principal was a member of the LGBTQ plus community. And then, my father-in-law was getting praise because of us. And so I feel like for him, it was, wait a minute, like all these people think I'm so cool because my son-in-law and my son are on TV.
Right.
And so it really, I don't know what, I don't want to discredit my father-in-law for being open-minded and loving towards me.
Yeah.
But I also have to be a realist and know that all of the praise and the nuz-nuzzing that my father-in-law got from people who got to watch us probably helped in him accepting what was going on.
Correct. I see what you're saying. It's very different because here we are in different states, and here we are saying, okay, two happily married men, completely different backgrounds, cultures, upbringings. You guys walk down the street, you hold hands, you guys kiss, you're on an international television show doing all this, you're walking down, holding your pies, wearing your little apron. It's okay, you're just being you. But when you get to Oklahoma, it becomes different. And that's interesting.
It is interesting, but I adapt to my environment as well. You and I, Golnessa, have traveled many times together.
Yeah.
And we've gone to many countries.
Yes.
And there's some countries where we, as Middle Easterners, forget the fact that I'm gay.
Absolutely.
But just we as Middle Easterners feel more comfortable in some places and less comfortable in others. And I have to tell you, for me, that's no different when I travel in the United States.
Right.
When I go to New York by myself, I feel very comfortable, obviously. I, throw on a little skimpy tank top and I go running, along the West Side Highway.
Yeah.
But when I travel and I go to other towns, I'm less likely. And if I'm running, I'll stay on a main road. I think about those things depending on my geography.
Of course. I find it astonishing to be honest with you that we are just a few states apart from each other all collectively, and yet we have such different mentalities on what's okay and what's not. I was reading quite a bit this last day about Oklahoma and the laws about being gay and what comes with that, and just some of the things that I just stood out to me. For instance, and I would love to get you guys' input on this, is something that's called the at-will employment. Have you guys heard of this?
I think I have.
So the law of the state says there cannot be any discrimination against anyone LGBTQIA+. I always like to make sure I get every letter in there. There cannot be any discrimination for it, but what at-will employment means is that you can be fired for whatever reason, and by law, they cannot and do not need to disclose why. So is that a getawaying with kind of cultural bias, same sex marriage, right? Because it seems like a lot of people have issues with men who are married to another man, it's almost like it's better to just be gay. But once you're married to another man, it becomes like they don't offer any type of spousal support in these type of situations in Oklahoma. So it's interesting to see that. Is there still a level of pressure on the gay community to have to hide being gay in Oklahoma?
I would say 100%. It's like I said earlier, like there's people who I know who are still in the closet because they're afraid of what their friends and family are going to say. And especially when they go back home, because like them, they go home very often. I'm not one of those people who go home often. And it's because I don't want to have to censor who I am. And when I go back home, I feel like I have to revert back to the person who I was when I lived there. And I don't like being that person. And so I totally,
yeah,
that's how I see it.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the both of you guys being as open and honest as you have been. I think it's a lot of questions that a lot of people have when they think of these dynamics and people who are raised in these situations. So it's really awesome to have you share that with us, Adam and Reza, your experiences, being married to Adam and what that was like for you. I thank you guys both for doing this podcast with me. And if there's anything else that you think could be beneficial or help someone, if they're coming out or anything you want to shout out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, what I want to say is, the catchphrase, "it gets better," is very true. You will find your group, you will find your tribe, you will find your people. Sometimes they're your blood relatives, and sometimes they're your chosen relatives. And sometimes your friends and relatives will follow your lead. So don't think that just because you don't have your people, your tribe, your community now, that, it's going to be that way forever. Please know that as you grow and fall in and become who you are, people will love and respect you. Sometimes people just don't know. Ignorance sometimes is very negative, and sometimes it's just because you haven't been exposed to something. And once you are exposed to it, people realize. I have very close friends. Gomez and I have a very, very close friend, the two of us. I learned from this person that once they found out their sibling was a member of the LGBTQ+ community, that this human being prior to was very anti-community. And then once they found out their sibling was a member, became very pro-community. So I know that for a lot of your listeners, Gigi, I want to thank you for having this roundtable with Adam and I and discussing it, and Ursula, you too. That just the fact that people start to live their authentic life, even in places like Oklahoma. I want to make sure that anyone realizes that they should test the waters and make sure that their environment is safe to come out in. And please find resources and helplines in your community.
Absolutely. Honestly, there's family is not just in the blood. There is a very large community out there that has very open arms into welcoming all the LGBTQIA plus people and all the other names that are coming along right now that I feel like I'm too old and I smoke too much weed to remember all the names. So no disrespect to any of those people out there. But if you guys want to check out Reza, please check out his hair care line, Reza Be Obsessed. It is amazing. I use it in my hair. I spray it everywhere. I use it for my edges. And Adam, I'm hoping that we can soon get something like a tutorial on how to make those scrumptious pies of yours, because they're delish.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. I love that. Thank you boys so much for being here. I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.
We love you.
I love you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Genuinely Gigi. Download new episodes every week. And if you haven't already, subscribe. And be sure to leave us a rating and review. And while you're at it, check out some of the other great shows available on Straw Hut Media.